My name is Ryan, I'm 32, and I've always worked hard for everything I have. I run a small but growing tech consultancy in Chicago, and money, while important, has never been the only measure of my life. I married Emily 3 years ago, thinking we shared the same values: love, partnership, and respect. But last Friday, I realized how wrong I had been. It was a Friday night party, hosted by one of Emily's colleagues. I was excited to attend, thinking it would be a casual evening with friends, and a chance to celebrate the week. Emily was radiant, wearing that confident, magnetic smile that had first drawn me to her. We mingled, exchanged pleasantries, and I felt the comfort of being with someone I trusted. Then, halfway through the evening, Emily decided it was time to make a joke in front of everyone. She leaned close, laughing in that playful, yet cutting way, and said, loud enough for nearby guests to hear, "Ryan, remember, you only get intimacy once you hit $10,000 this month." The room fell silent for a fraction of a second. I froze. The laughter that followed didn't soothe me, it stung. Every head turned, and I could feel the judgment, the curiosity, the humiliation. I glanced around, trying to find supportive expressions, but most faces were frozen in polite amusement. The playful atmosphere had vanished, replaced by a weight I could hardly breathe under. Emily, still laughing, didn't notice my face tightening, my jaw clenching. "I'm serious," she said, leaning in closer. "No $10,000, no, you know. I mean it as motivation," she added quickly, trying to soften the blow. But the damage was done. The words weren't just a comment. They were a declaration that affection and intimacy had been commodified, tied to my performance, my income, my worth as she saw it. I excused myself briefly, stepping outside to the balcony, needing space to breathe, to think. The cool night air hit my face, but it couldn't wash away the sting of public embarrassment. I kept repeating the words in my head, trying to understand why the woman I loved would treat me like this in front of everyone. Inside, the party continued, laughter and music filling the room, but for me, the world had narrowed to a single truth. The person I trusted most had just drawn a line between love and money, intimacy and obligation. And I realized that confronting this wasn't just about anger, it was about reclaiming my dignity. I returned inside, keeping my expression neutral, forcing myself to blend back into the conversation. Emily smiled, clearly expecting me to laugh along or playfully nod, but I didn't. I stayed quiet, letting the words linger in the air unacknowledged. The subtle tension I created seemed to make the room uncomfortable, and I could see a few glances exchanged between the guests. After a few minutes, I leaned toward her, my voice low so only she could hear. "Emily, that wasn't funny," I said. Her smile faltered slightly, but she tried to brush it off. "Oh, come on, Ryan," everyone laughed. "Don't be so serious," she replied, tilting her head. But I could feel the weight of her expectation. The implication that affection was conditional, tied to numbers and achievements. I excused myself again, heading to a quieter corner near the kitchen. My mind raced. I had always prided myself on working hard, providing for us, and striving for success. But intimacy tied to a financial target? That crossed a line I never thought Emily would approach, let alone declare publicly. My trust felt like it had been chipped away, and I realized that what had started as a joke might have deeper roots in control and manipulation. Moments later, Emily followed, still smiling, trying to lighten the mood. "Ryan, don't be mad. I was just joking," she said. I shook my head slowly. It's not about being mad. It's about respect. Affection and intimacy aren't transactions. You can't assign a value to them or make them conditional on my income. Her eyes widened, a flicker of frustration flashing across her face. "You're overreacting," she said, but I could tell she realized I wasn't going to dismiss it. The party continued around us, people laughing and chatting, oblivious to the storm brewing at one small corner. I understood then that this wasn't just a one-time humiliation. It was a reflection of her mindset, one that had quietly built up over months of subtle comments, sly remarks, and expectations tied to performance. I took a deep breath, centering myself. "Emily, if we are going to continue this marriage, this needs to change. Intimacy cannot be a reward, a prize, or a condition. If that's how you think, then we have nothing to build on." My words were firm, deliberate, and measured. I could feel her tension growing, the party noise fading in the background as our confrontation created its own gravity. At that moment, I realized something crucial. Humiliation is temporary, but clarity is permanent. And for the first time, I understood that the night would not end with laughter. It would end with a decision about what kind of marriage I was willing to accept. After that conversation, I excused myself from the party once more, this time with a purpose. I needed to confront the reality of our marriage and decide if I could tolerate a relationship where my worth was measured by numbers and performance. The cool night air outside the venue felt like a small relief, but it couldn't erase the sting of what had just happened. When I returned, I asked Emily to step outside with me, away from the prying eyes and whispering guests. Her playful demeanor had vanished, replaced with tension and unease. "Ryan, it's just a joke," she began, but I cut her off. "It's not a joke, Emily. Publicly humiliating me and tying affection to money. It's a reflection of how you see me, and it's unacceptable." She looked at me, a mix of defiance and guilt in her eyes. "I didn't mean it like that. I just wanted to motivate you," she said, but the words sounded hollow. I shook my head, letting the silence settle, giving weight to what she had just done. "I've spent years building my life, my career, and my values," I said slowly, deliberately. "And I've always believed in partnership. But tonight, you showed me that your love is conditional, that it has a price tag. That's not love. That's control." Her lips trembled, and for a moment, I saw the woman I once trusted, the one I had believed loved me unconditionally. But that image was gone, replaced with someone who measured affection with a ledger and enforced it with humiliation. "I can't accept that," I continued, my voice steady. "If this is who you are, if this is the standard you hold for love, then we are done. I won't be reduced to a number, a target, or a transaction." Tears streamed down her face as she whispered, "Ryan, please." But I had already made my choice. I turned away, letting the cool night wrap around me as a shield against the betrayal. The party, the guests, the laughter, all of it faded behind me. What remained was clarity. I had reclaimed my dignity, my boundaries, and my self-respect. The walk back to the car felt liberating, heavy with the weight of reality, but light with the knowledge that I had chosen myself over humiliation. That night, I understood a hard truth. Love should never be conditional, and respect is the foundation of every relationship. If either is absent, everything else falls apart. And for the first time in years, I felt free, unshackled from a marriage that had tried to put a price on my heart.